Being and Nothingness is one of the most ambitious philosophical works of the 20th century. Its subtitle, A Phenomenological Essay on Ontology, signals its dual purpose to describe human experience with phenomenological precision and simultaneously uncovering the fundamental structures of being itself. Sartre aims to provide a total system that explains the human condition without recourse to God, universal moral laws, or psychological determination. The central question that derives the entire work is, what must human reality be in order for there to be a world, for there to be a meaning, for there to be freedom? Sartre's answer is both startling and profound. Human reality is the being through whom nothingness comes into the world. We are not simply beings among other beings, we are the unique kind of being that introduces absence, negation, and possibility into existence. He begins by rejecting both realism and idealism. Realism treats the world as independent substance. Idealism reduces everything to consciousness. He instead embraces the phenomenon, the appearance that reveals itself fully without pointing to a hidden reality behind it. The phenomenon is not a deceptive veil, but the thing itself appearing. However, the phenomenon requires a being for whom it appears. This leads Sartre to the pre reflective cogito. Unlike Descartes' reflective I think, therefore I am, Sartre argues that there is a more fundamental consciousness that is non possessional. When I count cigarettes, I am not thinking about my counting. But if asked, I can immediately say I am counting. This shows there is a consciousness of my activity that is not a separate thought about it. Consciousness is always consciousness of something and simultaneously non-thetic self-consciousness, that is, an aware of itself without making itself an object. Sartre's ontology distinguishes two radically different types of being. First, being in itself. Being in itself is the being of objects, of the world. It has three characteristics. It is in itself, and it is what it is. The in itself is a plenitude, a fullness with no emptiness, no negation, no possibility. It simply exists. It is contingent, uncreated, and de trop, that is superfluous. A table is a table. It is what it is. Full stop. Second is being for itself. Being for itself is the being of consciousness. Its defining feature is that it is what it is not and is not what it is. Unlike the in itself, the for itself is a decompression of being. It is a rupture, a distance from itself. This distance is nothingness itself. Consciousness exists as a presence to itself, which always implies a slight separation, a gap. This gap is the source of all negation, all possibility and freedom. Sartre examines the question. Every question implies the possibility of a negative answer. Is Pierre here? Can be answered no. This reveals that negation is not just a feature of judgment, but it is rooted in the structure of reality itself. Pierre's absence is not just a thought in my head. I actually experience his absence in the cafe. The cafe presents itself to me as a ground from which Pierre's figure is absent. This leads him to argue that nothingness haunts being. It is not a separate realm but lies coiled in the heart of being like a worm. Nothingness is not, it is annihilated, made to be by human reality. And the being that annihilates nothingness must itself be its own nothingness. Anguish is the experience of this freedom. When I stand at a precipice, I fear falling. This is an external danger. but I experience anguish because I realize that nothing prevents me from throwing myself over. My freedom is revealed as the perpetual possibility of choosing otherwise. The gambler who resolved not to play again feels anguish when he approaches the table because he realizes his past resolution is powerless. He must choose anew each moment. Bad faith is the attempt to flee this anguish by denying our freedom. The waiter who plays at being a waiter, the homosexual who refuses to say, I am a homosexual, both are in bad faith because they try to treat themselves as things, as fixed identities, while knowing they are free. Bad faith is not lying to others but lying to oneself, which is paradoxically possible only because we are what we are not and not what we are. Sincerity, that is, be what you are, is itself impossible because human reality can never coincide with itself. Sartre analyzes the for itself in detail. The for itself is presence to itself. It is a being that has a self only by being separated from itself. This separation is nothingness. The for itself is also categorized by facticity, the contingent, unjustifiable there-ness of its existence. I cannot explain why I am here in this body in this situation. Yet I am totally responsible for what I make of it. The for itself is a lack. It is haunted by a missing being, the self it could be but is not. This lack points toward value, the ideal totality that would reconcile the in itself and for itself. And it points toward possibility, the project that gives meaning to my present actions. My possibilities are mine, they define what I am in the mode of not yet being. Human reality is desire, desire for being, for a self identity that can never be achieved because achieving it would mean ceasing to be consciousness. The ideal goal of human existence is the impossible synthesis, being in itself for itself, or God. Man is a useless passion. We pursue a goal that is inherently contradictory. The for itself exists temporally. The past is what I was in itself. The present is the nihilation of the past, and the future is what I project myself to be. These three ecstasies reveal the temporal structure of consciousness. I am always ahead of myself, always not yet what I will be. Knowledge is a relation between the for itself and the in itself. To know is to reveal being while simultaneously annihilating it, to grasp the object while remaining distinct from it. The for itself is the revealing, revealed. It reveals the world and is revealed to itself in that act. The third dimension of being is being for others. The existence of others is not something I can prove by argument. It is revealed through the look. When another looks at me, I experience myself as an object, as having a self that exists for the other. This is the experience of shame or pride. I am judged, fixed, made into a thing. This creates an eternal conflict. I try to appropriate the other's freedom, to make the other recognize me as a subject while simultaneously reducing the other to an object. Love, language, masochism, indifference, desire, hate, sadism, all are attempts to navigate this impossible relation. Hell is other people, not because others are malevolent, but because they have the power to objectify me, to reduce my freedom. The body is central here. My body is lived subjectivity from the inside, but is an object for others. The body's facticity, its being in the world, its vulnerability, is what makes the look possible. For Sartre, freedom is not a property of consciousness, it is consciousness. To be consciousness is to be free, to be the source of one's own nothingness. This freedom is absolute. There is no situation so constraining that I cannot choose my attitude toward it. The prisoner is free to try to escape, to accept his fate, to hope, to despair. Freedom is the power to annihilate the given and project possibilities. But this freedom involves total responsibility. Since I am the foundation of my own nothingness, I am responsible for everything I make of my situation. There are no excuses, no determinism, no unconscious drives, no human nature. No God can justify my choices. I am condemned to be free, thrown into existence without justification, forced to choose myself at every moment. This is the source of the famous Sartrean claim existence precedes essence. Unlike a paper knife, which is designed with a purpose before it is made, humans have no pre given essence. We exist first and we create ourselves through our choices. Our essence is what we make of ourselves. Sartre concludes that human reality is a failed project. We seek to be God to achieve the impossible synthesis of in itself and for itself. This project is doomed, but it defines our being. Sartre also promises a future work on ethics, suggesting that even if this project fails, we can live authentically by accepting our freedom, our responsibility, and our fundamental nothingness. The significance of Sartre's philosophy lies in its radical affirmation of human freedom and its insistence that there is no escape from choice. We are thrown into existence, we must choose, and we are utterly responsible for our choices. There is no human nature, no divine plan, no unconscious compulsion to excuse us. We are radically free and radically alone. This is both the burden and the dignity of human existence.